Now before we dive in, if you find my videos useful, make sure to click that subscribe button and also make sure to click that bell icon on the side to get notified every time I upload a new video. And of course, if you do use Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook, make sure to follow me on all at SAKITECH online, also for the latest updates. Alright, let's dive in. Hey guys, Sak here from SAKITECH, and in today's video I'm going to show you guys 50 plus tips and tricks for the LG G8 ThinQ smartphone that is right over here. So LG was kind enough to provide me with their retail units right over here. So let's dive in and discover a ton of features that are packed into the software of the LG. Now I do want to let you know that I will be talking about the hand motion technology that allows you to unlock your smartphone with your hand and also control the LG G8 with your hands as well. But that will be towards the end of the video. Now the very first thing I want to talk about has to do with the notch. So as you can see, the LG does have a notch, but LG does give you a couple different options on how to hide or show the notch. So let me go into the settings. I'm going to show you exactly what I'm talking about. So let's go to the settings right over here. Let's go into the display. And of course, LG calls the notch area the new second screen. So when I tap on this one, here is the standard view. So this is what you get with the notched view. Now let's say that you're not a fan of this notched view. What you can do is you can go to the custom over here and you can do the usual and do a complete black bar on the top, which is the option you get on most of the other smartphones. And of course, when you go back into the settings, display, new second screen, you can also actually pick different colors on the top. And here's two of my favorites. Now this one is okay, but it still gives you a color and makes the notch a little bit visible. But these two over here actually make the notch much more tolerable than other smartphones. Okay, so it actually gives you some screen real estate on these two sides and also kind of phases the notch out into the screen so it looks much better. So I have this option as well right over here, which is my favorite, and you can also do a colorful option, which is this one right over here. It's all going to be up to you. You know, some people don't even care about the notch, some people do care about it, but then LG gives you these extra options to customize it, which looks much better. And of course, over here you can also choose the way the apps twist around the corner. So if you don't want this twist, you can tap this one, then you get a more squared version. And if you tap on this one, you get more twisted version. So I'm going to keep it like this because this is the way I like it. I also like this one right over here, but this one is a little bit more colorful, so I'm going to keep that right now. Okay, now let's go back out and move on to some other things. Now, one thing I like about LG is the amount of software customization they provide to the end user. The next thing I like about the LG G8 is a feature that has been disappearing from other phones, but LG is keeping it, so that's great. So let me just launch an application. So let's say that I do launch an application, and at the bottom we have a navigation bar. There's a black dot here that I can double tap, and that's going to make that navigation bar actually disappear. Now I can bring it back just by swiping up from the bottom and then tapping it one more time. Okay, so to enable these things, all you do is you go to the settings, you go into the display, and then you go to the home touch buttons. And of course, from here you can customize the bar at the bottom with these colors as you please, but then you have that option to show lock and hide icon. Okay, so if you disable this option and if you launch an application, that black dot is not going to show up. But if I go back into the settings, go to display, go into home touch buttons, and of course enable that, then that black dot is going to show up with every other application. One more thing, you can also go to gestures. Okay, so if you want to use Android P style gestures, you can do that as well. Or you can just use the actual buttons, which is going to be my preference. All right. One more quick thing I'm going to talk about. If you go to the settings, LG does give you the option to use this list view for your menu. Or if you want something more coordinated, you can actually tap on this one, click on tab view, and now you have the tab view that you can go around just like this. It's a little bit more compact, more organized, but I prefer the list view, so I'm going to go right back into it, but it's an option you have. Now I'm going to come back and talk about the extensions over here in a minute. Now I do want to show you, when you go to the extensions, there's something very important here that's called the air motion technology. So the air motion technology allows you to launch applications and control your phone with your hand hovering above the actual screen. Okay, so you can control the phone with hand gestures. I'm going to show you this in a minute, but let me just talk about a couple other things. As a matter of fact, really quickly, I'm going to cover two things under the extensions tab, which is a lot of customization. So one thing you have is floating bar, and the other option you have knock on. So I'm going to enable knock on, and this is what it is. I can just knock on the screen and it turns off. and I can knock it again, it's going to turn it on. Okay, and one more thing with the lock screen, if it's raining outside, it's going to show actual rain droplets on the lock screen. But anyway, let me just go back in. I'm going to come back to the lock screen as well. Going back here, go to the settings, going to the extensions, that's the knock on. But this is one of my favorite options, something that's not talked about too much. It's called the floating bar extension. So if you enable this, you can go inside and then you can actually customize it. But first, let me show you what it is. So let's go back outside, and here's a little arrow in the corner. If I tap this arrow, we have the floating bar. But the floating bar is multifunctional, so I can swipe over. This is the screenshot utilities. I can swipe over. That's the music controller. If I had any music, I would see play, pause. If I swipe one more time, I can see the app shortcuts that I just saw. Now, going back into settings, extensions, let me just hide that. And the floating bar, I can go into the shortcuts and change the shortcuts I want to see on the floating bar, as you can see. Okay, and then swiping over, we have these other options, which are screen capture, music player, and quick contacts. So basically with screen capture, I can go over here, I can tap this one, it'll take a screenshot and it's going to save it to your gallery, okay, as long as it's properly enabled. But this is the floating bar that is very useful. Now let me quickly, I can tap on this one, it's going to launch the application. Let me quickly play music over here. So let me go to the app drawer here, just launch it, let me just play something here, okay, and pause it. Now when I go back to my floating bar from anywhere, I'm going to see a play, previous, next track buttons. I can tap on this or pause it. All right, so that's fantastic little thing that's floating on the screen that's going to be very useful. Now one more great thing is if you go into the settings and if you go into the display and if you go into the actual home screen right over here, what you have is you have a left home screen that can be disabled, or you can have a Google feed or a smart bulletin. So if I click none and click OK, when I swipe over, nothing happens. But if I go back into those settings, which I can also do from here, I can press and hold, and I can go to the home screen settings. It's going to take me to the same exact place. So I go to the left home screen, I tap on it, enable the smart bulletin, click OK, and then this one here gives me a nice, condensed, and smooth smart bulletin for informational purposes. What I do like over here is you can tap on the settings and you can disable the things that you do not want. So I can disable LG Health, LG Smart World, Pocket Advisor. Let me just disable a couple so you can see the difference. So now when I go back into my bulletin, it's going to look a little bit better. But you can also tap on this button and actually collapse them, or tap it again and expand the whole thing. So this is a fantastic little utility on the side for quick access to apps, camera, and stuff like that. And again, if you press and hold and go into your home screen settings, you can also have Google Feed if you don't want the smart bulletin, or if you don't want nothing, that's not a big deal. But I do like the smart bulletin. It's actually not laggy, it's very smooth, so I want to keep it right there. All right. Now let me quickly talk about the always on display. So if I go to the settings right over here, and if I go to the display, now here's what I like about the way the always on display is presented. So if I go into the always on display, as usual, you have all these various options you can pick. Now, if you pick the digital clock version, what you can do is you can change the color of all the clocks, but you can also swipe over and pick the actual design right from that screen. Okay, so you got all these options for the always on display. And of course, always on display comes up when you turn off the screen. So as you can see, it's going to show up right there. Okay, so let's go back inside. Go back to that always on display right here, always on display. And again, if I were to choose the analog clock, okay, again, you get the preview, you can change the colors or whatever. You can swipe over through all these different options, which is also great, okay? I like the size of these big guys. This is a great always on display. I'm gonna click save on it. But same with this one, dual clock, okay? So you have one option, two options here. If I go back here, we have signature, so I can actually have a signature here, which I can edit. Hello. So that can be my always on display, but this is also editable, so that's great. So if I pull this down, you can change the actual font, as you can see, and also the color. Okay, so that's great. And then we have all these different image type always on displays. Again, Very nice for people that want to customize their smartphones. So LG certainly gives you a lot of customization options when you grab one of their smartphones. Now, one more quick thing with the always on display. If you do enable the quick tools and music player, you do have extra options on the always on display. So if I turn off this device, and as far as I know, this is only available on the LG smartphones, but now I have access to these quick tools. I can swipe over and I can get access to shortcuts over here. If I swipe over, that's my music controller, as you can see. And if I swipe over again, I can get the battery and the other stuff right over here. Okay, so you do have some extra options you can enable in this smartphone. And one thing that a lot of people do worry about is the always on display is too dark. So what you can do is you can actually enable this, and it's going to be even a brighter display, but you do get a little notification here saying the prolonged usage can drain the battery. So if I go back out now, the always on display is going to look much better because it's going to be much more visible, but it's going to eat a little bit more battery. Okay, but again, if you have access to a charger all over the place and you want the full functionality, all the bells and whistles enabled, this is the way to go. Right over here, just disable that for now, and let's move on. Now, one more amazing thing about the LG smartphone is that there is a button here on the side. So you have volume up, volume down, a button, and then the power button. Now this button actually allows you to access Google Assistant. So if I press this, boom, it brings up Google Assistant. All right. So some people, as you know, the Samsung phones have a Bixby button that is not as customizable, or it doesn't allow you to launch the Google Assistant. But this button here does allow you to launch Google Assistant. And of course, if I go over here to the settings, and if I go into the extensions, and if I go into my shortcuts, and if I scroll all the way down, that's right there, open Google Assistant when I press that Google Assistant key. Okay, so I can press to disable it if I don't want it. Now, if I want to directly talk to my Google Assistant, I can press and hold that button, all right? And if I double tap it, it's going to give me a snapshot of my day. So all these options are enabled. So with this one button, you can press it to launch Google Assistant, double tap to talk to Google Assistant, or double tap it as the third option to actually see a snapshot of your day. And of course, you have other shortcuts right over here, such as being able to open the camera by double pressing the camera power key, which is the usual. You do have the option also to launch the camera by pressing twice on the volume key when the phone, volume down key when the phone is actually turned off or locked off. So you have all these different options. Now let's go in and talk about the air motion technology, but I also want to talk about one last thing that I think you're going to like. If you do go into the lock screen right over here, lock screen and security, and scroll down to something known as the content lock, I can actually lock files under a PIN number. So you set up a PIN number, and mine is very easy right now, but you can actually lock content in the gallery and the memo application. So if I go to the gallery right now, you see nothing. If I tap this button, it's going to say show locked files. I tap it, put my password, boom, and there's the picture that I had saved right over here. Okay, so if I want to save a picture like this, I simply tap on lock, and it's going to unlock that, lock that file, and it's gone. So you're going to need files to see them. Now right now I didn't unlock on it, so it's available. But if I wanted to hide this photo, all I do is tap on this one and tap on lock. Okay, and then that's going to lock that actual image. Only accessible through here and with a PIN number. So that's under lock screen and content lock. And of course you do have a fingerprint sensor on this smartphone. You have a face unlock sensor, which is in fact a 3D face scanner, much like the iPhone's face scanner, not a 2D. So it's going to be very secure. And of course you have the hand ID lock. So if I go over here, I have actually registered my hand, so I can hover my hand on top of the actual screen, and the sensors built into this notch are going to read my palm and unlock the phone. Okay, so that's something I can do. Let me lock the phone. Double tap to wake up, and I can go like this, and as you can see, the phone just got unlocked. That's the hand lock feature. And using the same sensors, you can also control your phone by going to extensions and going into the air motion technology. There's three things you can do. You can do shortcut and capture, control music and videos, and control calls and alarms. So if I go to this one over here, I can actually bring my palm in top and just pinch it like this, and then go like this, left or right, to launch the Play Store or the YouTube application, and these are all customizable. I'm going to demonstrate this in a second. First, I'm going to show you the options. So I can pick any app that I want. So swiping left is going to open up the Play Store right now, and right is going to be YouTube. And then this one here is going to be for controlled music. I'm going to show you that in a second as well. All right, so there's my hand, and it's going to recognize my hand, and then I'm going to pinch the hand, and it's going to bring up the control. I can go left or right. Let's go right to launch YouTube, and that's right there. Now let's play this video, and let me show you how to control the video. So I'm going to do the same gesture. I'm going to pinch on the screen after showing my palm. I can pause this video, or I can go right back, and I can actually play the video by switching over to the right side. And of course, I can also control the volume by twisting my hand on the screen, as you can see, which is fantastic. So that's in fact the air motion technology. So let's move on and talk about a couple other things I'm going to talk to you about as far as customization goes on the LG G8. Now, if I go into the lock screen and security, if I scroll a little bit down, you'll see over here that we have this customized lock screen option. If I tap on this one, there's a couple you can customize on the lock screen. You can tap on the clock, you can have it on the left or the center. Okay, this is the way I like it. You can also change the shortcuts on the lock screen. So if I tap on shortcuts, I can add more shortcuts or just have two on the side. So just to give you one example, I'm going to add one more over here. Let's just pick the calculator shortcut. Now if I turn off the screen and go back to the lock screen, you'll see that the calculator is going to be right there in the middle. Go back into that settings screen, go right back. Let me remove that, by the way. Let's tap on delete icon, select the one I want to remove, it's gone, okay? And then of course, the thing that I wanted to show you guys was the weather animation. Make sure this is enabled if you want to see the rain droplets, okay? So if it's raining outside, if it's just a different kind of weather, it's going to show the weather animations on the lock screen. All right, so that's that right there. And then if I go back out, oops, right here, go back into the setting. At the bottom, you have contact info for the lost phone. For this one, I just used whatever I want. You can have a signature on your lock screen. That's going to replicate what I typed there, SAKITECH right over there. Okay, so that's fantastic. It's nice to be able to customize your smartphone. Couple other things you have. If you go to the settings over here, you can go to the display, and if you scroll down, you can go into screen color, and that allows you to pick all kinds of different color codes from these presets. Or if you're an expert, you can modify it the way that you want to see. Okay, I keep this on auto, but if you're watching a movie on your phone, you can go to cinema. It's going to give you a nice look. And if I go back again, we do have the Hdr Video Effect. If you enable this, and if you play a video, the video is going to look much better. It's going to look brighter, and it's going to look more vibrant. It's going to apply the HDR effect to the videos that you play. So that is a good setting to keep enabled. And then finally, if you go to the sound, if you go all the way down, not all the way down, but a little bit down over here, you go to sound quality and effects. You tap on this one, and from here you can access all the nice sound quality features. For example, you can enable the DTS 3D surround sound. You can tap on this one. It's going to be a wide sounding sound. You can go inside. You can do front, okay, or you can do side to side. It's all going to be up to you how you want to experience that 3D surround sound. All right, so that's the last tip I wanted to share with you guys. But if you do have any questions, comments, or concerns, make sure to drop them down below. Alright, so if you found this video useful, make sure to subscribe to SAKITECH by clicking that button, and also click that bell icon on the side to make sure you get notified every time I upload a new video. And if you do use Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook, you can follow me at SAKITECH Online to get the latest updates as well. Alright, have a fantastic day.